I remember watching Alien about 10 years ago and it blew my mind. I thought it looked incredible for a movie that came out in 1979, and the whole thing felt like a survival horror game in movie form, but way before survival horror games were actually made. Which is why I thought that Isolation was the perfect type of alien game. It combined the best aspects of the movie and turned it into a simulator where you can experience what it's like to be stalked by an alien xenomorph in dark, narrow rooms and hallways. The end result? It's absolutely terrifying. Alien Isolation is set 15 years after the event of the first Alien movie. Ellen Ripley's daughter, Amanda, learns that the flight recorder from her mother's missing ship was located. It was taken to a space station called Sevastopol, so in order to get closure, Ripley joins a retrieval team whose mission is to board the place. Things don't go according to plan though, since the station ends up being in complete chaos, and it's all because of a xenomorph that's been lurking around and attacking people. The game's almost 10 years old at the time of this video's release, but if I didn't know that, I'd believe it if someone told me that it just came out recently. The game looks gorgeous, and I feel like most of it is because of the art direction and lighting. They give the game a very unique ambience that captured the tone of the original movie. I also think that because Alien Isolation recreates so much from the film, it sets itself apart from other games with a sci-fi setting. The technology and architecture feel very much like they're from the 70s and 80s, so they don't have that super high-tech and flashy look to them. Like a lot of the equipment, terminals, and tools feel big and bulky, and even little things like using levers and opening doors in the game was satisfying. I know it was normal for sci-fi to be depicted this way at the time, but I've always thought that it was charming and a bit closer to reality compared to things like holographic tech. But yeah, I was immediately drawn to all of that in the first hour or so of the game, especially since it took a while for the alien to appear. It was more than enough time to immerse myself in the space station and see awful signs of, well, having a deadly creature on board. It was actually quite nerve-wracking just going through the first few sections of the game because of the ambience. It always felt like someone or something was about to get me, and that feeling got 10 times worse the moment that the alien became an active stalker, which is why scavenging for supplies and hiding as soon as you can is a must. Alien Isolation will have you exploring the space station, working on one objective to the other, and just like other horror games, you can find collectibles like audio recordings and employee ID tags around the station. There are also messages in the terminals, but I rarely read them since I was too paranoid. The game doesn't pause when you look at terminals, so literally anything can happen in the background. That includes crafting as well, which made it terrifying when I needed to make something real quick. Crafting is essential since it'll help you survive the space station. I was actually surprised when I played this game on stream and I found out that you can craft anywhere. I just assumed that you'd need to find a workbench or something. But yeah, you can make all kinds of items that'll help you stay alive as you explore and encounter both the Xenomorph and other hostile enemies. At first it'll be basic stuff like medkits, but when you find more blueprints, you'll be able to make things like bombs, flashbangs, and noisemakers. You can even get weapons later on, but their effectiveness against the alien is a bit mixed. Apart from the uncanny robots, I did my best not to hurt other humans in my playthrough, even though they got on my nerves. I just knew that sooner or later the Xenomorph would take care of them. I spent most of my time sneaking and hiding, and occasionally just running through certain areas and hoping I would survive. It usually worked out after a couple of deaths. I think the bravest I've felt throughout my playthrough is when I've just saved my progress using the game's save stations. Part of the thrill of Alien Isolation is that aside from occasional autosaves, you can't save any time. You have to find a save station, insert your keycard, and then wait until the 3 lights go off before your progress is finally saved. And if you want to use the same save station again, you have to wait a while. It made each encounter with the Xenomorph even more terrifying, especially since its AI was very impressive. Having the alien constantly hunt me throughout the whole station was scary. Little things like sprinting would end up triggering it, so it always felt like I had to be on the lookout for hiding spots. The noises it would make was nerve-wracking, since you could hear it hissing, crawling through the vents, and roaming around different rooms and hallways. Like, even when I was hours into the game, sounds like its heavy footsteps still raised my heart rate. Tools like the motion tracker were useful for knowing where it was, but there was something unnerving about seeing the dot like inches away from me, knowing that the alien was just in the vents above where I was standing. I also felt really helpless when I would use items to distract it, but then it would quickly turn around and run towards me, as if it knew that I was trying to fool it. Who knows how many times I died throughout the game, but I'd say that every death was both fun and frustrating. Oh yeah, I originally streamed Alien Isolation on Twitch in normal difficulty, and even then, I thought that the game got pretty challenging. The Xenomorph was smart and hard to deal with, but it was manageable. It would still persistently stalk me, even though it gave me some breathing room at times, when it would jump into vents or go to other rooms. For this video, I replayed bits of the game to get footage for my review, and I figured it would be a good chance to try hard mode. It's the intended difficulty level of Alien Isolation after all. The hostile humans and robots gave me some trouble at the start, but I was still doing okay. Now when I encountered the Xenomorph, oh man, it instantly felt different from my experience in normal mode. Like, I was both scared and fascinated by the alien in normal difficulty, since it felt like I was dealing with an apex predator who's driven by instinct. With hard mode, its AI felt like it wasn't being nerfed at all. I was completely at its mercy, and it genuinely felt like the space station was a cage I was trapped in. But instead of being trapped in a cage with something like a lion, it was a terrifying alien that couldn't be killed. Even little things like hiding in lockers got me killed, and it's all because I got used to just going in them and staying still. In hard mode, there were extra steps like having to lean back in the locker and hold my breath. I also had trouble with the alien killing me over and over after saving. It felt like since the AI already spotted me once, it knew that I would still be in the same area, even after I respawned. It would roam around the place, almost like a shark, and sometimes it would even go directly to the same spot that it killed me last time. This was just in the beginning area of the game too. I think the only reason I didn't get stuck for too long was because I was replaying the game, so I knew exactly what to do. I just had to, deal with the buffed up Xenomorph AI. But after playing through the whole game, I'd say that Alien Isolation is one of the best horror games that I've ever played. I don't know exactly how long it took me to play through it during my stream, but I think it was around 14 or 15 hours, and then I played a few more hours on hard mode to record for this video. But yeah, I thought that the game was brilliant. I love how the game lets you experience what it's like to be both a protagonist and a victim in Alien, and it reignited my fondness for the franchise's world, so I ended up watching Prometheus and Alien Covenant shortly afterwards. I thought they were okay, and it was pretty obvious that those movies wanted to reach the heights of Alien and Aliens, not to mention that they kept trying to make a new Ellen Ripley type of heroine, but they never really got there. It made me appreciate Alien Isolation's story and main character even more. I'd say that Amanda's a worthy protagonist who's cool and memorable, just like her mom, and it made me even happier knowing that the events in Alien Isolation are canon to the franchise. But enough about the movies, let's get back to the game. I heard that the second half of Alien Isolation can drag out and be a little tiring to play through, but I personally had a lot of fun with it. I just don't know if it's because I played through it on normal, so the enemy AI wasn't too frustrating. I just thought that the story's pacing was pretty good. The only time I felt impatient was the spacesuit sections, where I was forced to walk until I reached the next objective, but they were few and far in between. It's a shame that we never got another Alien game like this, but I'm just glad that Isolation exists because it's such a great experience. I highly recommend it if you want to play through a unique horror game with a challenging stalker-type enemy, and I especially recommend it to people who enjoy the Alien movies. I think the game's out on every platform too, so you can practically play it anywhere. Let me know what you thought about the video. Like and subscribe if you liked my content, and thank you to my patrons at Patreon for supporting my channel. I was planning on working on and releasing this video last week, but I got sick for a couple of days. Thankfully, I'm all better now, so it's back to making more content on YouTube and streaming on Twitch. I'm also editing my next Robot Alchemic Drive VOD for a new YouTube video, so stay tuned for that if you've seen the first one. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.